the night, and then we knew we cannot stay there indefinite. So when the night came, again somebody came up with an idea. They found some very heavy rope on the attic, and they attached it to a window. Now this is the second floor. And they said, we have to jump one by one with the help of the rope, because we cannot go out through the regular door, because in case somebody is watching. And this is what happened. One by one, we jumped. And again, another person said, you know, maybe we will be lucky now to find we'll go towards the woods and we'll find the partisans. Anyway, the 8 adults jumped first. My mom waited, and she wanted my little cousin and myself to go first. We jumped down. I want you to know, I cut my fingers to the bone. That's how heavy that rope was, and it was quite a distance to jump. And my mother came down. And by the time my mother came down, all the adults took off, and they left my mom with the 2 children by ourselves. And we did not know where to take the next step. My fingers were bleeding. She didn't know what to do for me. However, it was during the night. We started to go towards the woods. And we went, and it's daytime, and it's another night, and we're circling around the woods, and we did not find anybody. The night came, a woman with 2 little children. We lay down under a tree. It was already the month of September. The nights were cold. In the morning you get up, and you see the shadow of your body on the ground, in the grass, and you're cold, and you're hungry, and you keep going, and you don't know where the energy comes from. And we were going around for 2 weeks. Whatever we would find in the woods, sometimes a couple of berries, we would take off leaves from the tree. At night, later on, when we got a little bit used to the woods, we would take down a branch, if it was easy to take off, and cover ourselves a little bit for the night. And day after day, for 2 weeks, we're going around like this. And we don't know where the help is going to come from. One day, a woman came to the woods, for what reason I'll never know, maybe to find berries too. And when she saw my mom with the 2 children, she said to her, "Where did you escape from?" So my mother asked her, "Why are you asking me?" Because we did not know what was happening. So she says, "Well, the ghetto does not exist anymore. They took all the people out, they put them on trains to be sent to a concentration camp. And they also took the workers from the brewery and they put them on the same train." When my mom heard this, she knew my father and my brother and sister were working. So this was already 2 weeks later. My mom said, "Oh my God, they are already dead by now. So where are we trying to find anybody here?" It means our destiny is to die too. And my mother knew the way to go back to the city. And we started to walk. And from a distance, a man saw us. He started to run towards the 3 of us. He could not believe when he saw my mom with those 2 children. He named her by the name, he knew her, Mrs. Stolovitsky. "I am here every day looking, maybe somebody escaped from the ghetto or from the brewery. I didn't find anybody except you." Stopped crying. He saw already my mom's eyes were swollen. She couldn't see a step, an inch in front of her. "Don't quiet down. I'll take you into a group of partisans where I am, and you will not be alone anymore." And he brought us into a little group where we found the 8 adults that jumped with us from the attic in that group. They knew their way. And of course they welcomed us, and whatever they had, they shared. I'll never forget, there was a little fire burning, and people, if they had a potato to throw in to bake in the fire or whatever, they shared with us. And it felt so good not to be alone. One woman who was there, she had an extra skin from a calf. And she saw that we were so cold and shriveled up, and she threw that skin on myself. Instead of a coat, we jumped with what we were wearing. And it felt wonderful. And we stayed with them. However, we had to move location every day because they were afraid in case the Germans are looking out, in case somebody escaped. And we were moving around daily. And we stayed with them for 3 weeks. And at night, my mom could never lay down on the grass. She would sit on a tree that was cut down. It served her like a chair. And I would sleep with my head leaning on her one side, and my little cousin, who was only 7 years old, leaning on the other side. And this is how we spent the nights. One morning, I raised my head, and I suddenly was in such a good mood. I was actually happy. And I was thinking to myself, my goodness, I forgot already what it feels like. I was warm, I wasn't crying. And I lifted my head, and from a distance, those woods, by the way, were so tall that during the day you really had to lift your head to see daylight. From a distance, between those woods, I saw my sister. Now, my mom already said the prayers for them. We knew that they are dead. So I stared at her, and it looked to me like I see my sister. So I said to myself in my heart, I said, oh, maybe I had a wonderful dream, and that's why I feel good. And with that, I didn't stop staring. She also noticed that she sees people from a distance. She did not know who was there. And she started to run towards the group. And as soon as she got closer to us, she recognized my mom and myself. And the first words from her mouth was that my father and my brother is alive. We could not believe. It was like coming from the dead. And she sat down in the front of the group, and she told us the story that when they were all put on the trains and they were told that they're going to a concentration camp, and we knew already that nobody comes back alive from there. My brother, who was only 16 years old, but very puny looking for his age, he decided from the minute they stepped on the train, there were cattle wagons, 50 people they would put into one wagon. And he saw a little window in that wagon, and he decided that he will try to open the train as soon as it will take off and jump. However, they needed a tool to be able to open that window. So before the doors were closed, I don't know, my sister, I was told, my sister managed to get someplace a little axe that they went on the train prepared that that's what they're going to do. And that axe helped my brother, after he went out through this little window, to unhook the door from the outside, because the Germans did not trust the doors to leave open. And this is what he succeeded, to open the door. I want you to know that 50 people could have jumped and be alive. They froze. The doors opened, 11 people jumped. The owner of the brewery, there were two brothers, like I told you, they were on the same train with my brother. They jumped and they left. The smaller children they took with them when they jumped, and an older girl they left behind, they gave her instructions, you will jump after we jump. And she never did. When they finally, were all out of the train and the train took off, the train was going always in full speed. They just couldn't forgive themselves the rest of their life that they left the child behind. Not only the child, like I said, 50 people could have jumped, only 11 did. They jumped with the idea that maybe they will succeed now to connect with the Bielski brothers. However, it took them 3 weeks. 3 weeks to come back to the area where they took off, because they only were communicating during the night. They were afraid to go during the day in case somebody will find them or recognize them. And this is how my sister stumbled, did not know anything about myself and my mom, that we are alive, and my little cousin. She just went to look for the Bielski brothers. And this is how she stumbled over the group where she found us. And from that point on, we all met. It took weeks, it did not go so smooth, and with a lot of, searching, but nevertheless, we finally connected with the Bielski brothers, where we entered the permanent base where we lived with them for 2 years. This was in Naliboki Forest near Minsk. And if you ever saw the movie Defiance, I don't know any of you ever saw this movie? So this is where I spent for 2 years prior to being liberated by the Russian army in 1945 in December.
Amen.
From then on, I'll never forget again, the Russian army stumbled over the Bielski camp, and when they knew that we're all partisans that lived there for years, they said to us, the war is over, Germany is defeated, you can all go back where you came from. Since we did not have any place to go back to, we went back to our city, to the city of Lida. Everybody went back to where they came from. There was nothing for us there anymore because of the bad memories, losing the entire family for my mom. My father, since he came from the city of Lodz, western part of Poland, and we knew that he had a big family there, a sister, brother with children, his mom. So my parents decided to go back to Lodz, who was Poland. After the war, the city of Lida became White Russia, but Poland, the western part of Poland, was given back to Poland. And we went to search for my father's family. We came to Lodz. My father knew exactly where his mom lived and his siblings, and he did not find anybody alive. From one sister, one brother with families, and his mom, nobody. So there was no purpose for us to stay in Lodz either. What we really wanted is to go to Palestine. However, the British did not recognize the survivors to enter Palestine without a quota. So we had to stay and live in displaced persons camps for 4 years in different places.